You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of November 5th, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Sherlock Holmes, Miss Marple, and Perry Mason. Everyone likes a good mystery. But if you don't have a clue what 10W30 means, don't ask the butler. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The case of What Does 10W30 Mean tops the bestseller list of oil mysteries. Here are the clues. The first number rates the oil's viscosity or thickness at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The W means the oil can handle cold winter temperatures. And the second number refers to its viscosity at 210 degrees. FYI, lower numbers mean thinner oil. Today's cars typically use skinny oil, like 5W30, so that it can squeeze into tightly engineered engine parts. Now the mystery's solved. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Why, of course you can. But what do you do if your headlights go out at night? When I come back, I'll enlighten you.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You light up my life. Probably not a song about headlights. But if they go out at night and you're driving an American car, here's what to do. If using high beams, switch immediately to low. They may work. But if not, engage your hazard blinkers, pull off the road, and wait a while for an overheated circuit breaker to cool. Then try low beams every few minutes until they come on and drive to the next exit for service. Just remember this hit. Don't drive at night without headlights. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. On it, you can see pictures of Paris or plan trips to Timbuktu. But now, on the World Wide Web, you can get car loans without ever leaving home. When I come back, I'll tell you what to look for.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Thanks to the Internet's electronic highway, 4 of 10 new car buyers may get financing without ever driving to the bank. But beware, the Internet's virtual road may have potholes. Here's what to look for. First, secure sites that encrypt personal information. Next, an easy loan process and competitive rates. Finally, sites that give you the power of cash buyers by issuing checks rather than just pre-approving loans. Then you can walk into dealerships and skip to the fun part, choosing your car and driving it home. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. courtiers know that the classic black dress is a fashion basic. But soon, commercial trucks will have a little black box that's the ultimate accessory. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Classic black dresses may command the fashion runway, but innovative black boxes will soon rule the trucking highway. Using similar technology as airplane in-flight recorders, Diversified Auto Technology, or DAT, has announced its release of onboard monitoring devices for commercial ground vehicles. This system will contain accident recording, driver's log, and anti-theft technologies, and offer options like voice recognition, voice synthesis, and navigation. Move over, Paris and Milan. Now, big rigs are setting the style. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Even Mulder and Scully don't understand them. So if those numbers and letters on your tires are alien to you, don't be confused, because when I come back, I'll tell you what they mean in English.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Egyptian hieroglyphics or Morse code couldn't be any more alien than the strange array of letters and numbers printed on the sides of your tires. Just what does P185/75 space R14 mean? P stands for passenger vehicle. 185 is the tire width in millimeters, 75 is tire's height to width ratio, and R14 says the diameter of the wheel is 14 inches. Tire babble solved. Now, beware Borgs and Klingons. We'll soon understand your language. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
That's right, folks. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question, we'll take your call, put you in a queue, and then we'll talk about cars or something to that effect. You know, if you're not a car person, you say, well, I don't know if I want to listen to this program or not. Is it about cars? And, I don't want to talk about cams and cam phasers and lift and duration and tire pressure and all that, but not until that hits your car, and then you say, oh, wait, I do have a question. So if you do, Kevin will take your question. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts, folks. When your battery loses its power, you lose your ability to get out, get around, and get things done. When it's time for replacement, trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They'll help you choose the Super Start battery that's an exact fit for your vehicle, whether it's a reliable economy, a hardworking premium, or a powerful extreme, at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. And better answers to car questions right here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Kevin will take your call, put you in the queue, and I may even put you on the air. Hey, it's a rare day. It's a beautiful day. Let's talk cars when I come back. Why CarStar? Today's vehicles offer comforts and conveniences never imagined 20 years ago. Backup cameras, entertainment systems, start-stop technology, the list goes on. These technologies help avoid accidents. But what happens after a crash? Growth in electronic vehicle content adds to the collision repair cost and complexity. Damage a side view mirror or paint a bumper, and you may change the trajectory of that sensor. Adaptive headlights are another example. They actually turn the corner with you as you're turning the corner. The price for these headlights can reach $2,000. Now, more than ever, it's important to follow automaker guidelines for vehicle repairs. Don't compromise vehicle safety. CarStar is North America's largest multi-shop operator of independently owned repair facilities. CarStar delivers consistently high-quality repairs and the industry's highest customer satisfaction ratings. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car. Learn more at carstar.com. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. If you've had a car with a coolant leak, you know how expensive it can be. It's not usually the newer, higher-dollar vehicles that have leaks. It's the older vehicles, say $900 to $2,000 range, the cars we depend on for daily transportation and other vital tasks. If you're experiencing a coolant leak and the repair cost exceeds the value of your car, you don't necessarily have to take your car off the road. Try using K-Seal. We've seen our share of these in our shop where, before K-Seal, once a diagnosis was made of a leaking intake gasket, radiator, heater core, or head gasket, the car was sent for recycling and the owner had to purchase another. Before giving it up, try K-Seal. It's a pour-in solution that just may allow you to keep your car longer without spending more on repairs than the car is worth. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this show started. Don't listen. No, do listen. Do listen. So I said that because if you ever driven down the road and you hear something on the radio, maybe you have someone in the car with you, and or you're watching traffic or doing whatever it is that you do. Heaven forbid you should be texting. Do not do that. I do not do that. So as a matter of fact, you're driving down the road and you're not really paying attention to the radio. You hear the radio on, whether it's Bobby Likis or it's a music station or regardless, whatever you like in the background. Of course, talk radio is not background radio. Music can be background music because you can listen to music and carry on conversations, but you can't listen to talk radio without listening to it. And I was talking with the team here, the Car Clinic team, during the break there, and I was saying, that I've had three individual reach outs this week from Washington State and from California and from New York, from listeners that were recent show listeners. And one had, this gentleman had a vehicle that had water in a cylinder, and he said, "What was that product that you put in your oil?" or whatever it was like that. And I said, well, we didn't really talk about adding an oil product to fix an inside of an engine. Anyway, the bottom line, he was referring to K-Seal, which is the best permanent stop leak that you can put in a radiator or a crankcase or not crankcase, but block or head gaskets or what have you. But his vehicle it was damaged. It had water, in a cylinder, and he said, "What is that? Would you add to the oil?" And I called him back, and I do get calls and emails. I don't normally give out my email address, Bobby at Car Clinic Network, because that's my personal address, and so don't tell anybody. But and it really is, and so I'll get questions, and I'll answer every individual email that I get. Sooner or later, and I say sooner or later, to me that's within 3 or 4 days, and sometimes even on Sunday, I shouldn't, but we all do look at our phones or what have you. And with the smartphones today, there is no downtime. We should either turn them off or whatever, but that's for another show, or maybe somebody out there, you got a better idea. Oh, by the way, the new I've got so much on my mind here. Let me slow down and back up. So I told the gentleman, I said, I was referring to K-Seal. I said, but understand this, there's no, even as great as K-Seal is, there's no mechanic in a bottle, there's no fix for damaged parts. Now, true, granted, a head will warp and the gasket will start to slip out from under the bond between the head and the block. And it really is just a bond that you've got these two big giant parts of an engine, and the top of the head can be aluminum or it can be cast iron, mostly aluminum these days, and then you have bolts that hold it down. You would not want to get your finger or anything in between there because it is really torqued down, and it just mashes the gasket, and the gasket has little dimples and O-rings and what have you that seal individual components. If you ever have seen the head off of an engine, or like a valve body in the transmission, think of one of those puzzles where you have the rat's maze. You picture that, Fabio, where you can, try to find the opening and you go through. Well, that's what the inside of an engine looks like, and yet none of those rooms in there, passageways, are supposed to commingle. You have water in the block, or coolant. Okay, don't say water, coolant. You have oil in the block. You have pressured oil in different ports and passageways in the block. You have electronic sensors inside the engine with wires going inside the engine and the transmission as well. Though that was a real kicker. When technology, went into the computerized world of automobile mechanics, and I say mechanics, mechanical controls, which is really something to control something that has clutches and gears and shifting rods and levers with wires and solenoids and motors that actually move and shift, like a dual clutch transmission, which is way cool. You can have a 10-speed dual clutch transmission or an 8-speed, and you have 2 transmissions in one. And one transmission has 1, 3, 5, 7, and the other one has 2, 4, 6, 8. So whenever you're in first gear in that transmission, second gear is already engaged. So there's no shift time. So, well, how does that work? Well, the clutch is a dual clutch. So you have one clutch within a clutch. And if one clutch is in first gear and it's engaged, and the other clutch is in second gear but disengaged, all you have to do is to disengage one and engage two. And that's how quick it is. And that's what these Formula, the F1 cars are Formula One cars. So that's how they shift gears. So getting back to this, these reach outs that I've had this week, a gentleman calls and he's got an engine was pretty bad. So I'm waiting to hear if that fixes it, but because he had water in the cylinder, which means that he had a severe head gasket blown, or it could be that the head has burned, and the head will burn if it's run and driven long enough and create a pathway. It's just like when a dike overflows, and a river overflows, and all it has to do is find one little place to run over, and next thing you know, erosion takes place. Shoom! Now you've got a gully washer there. You've got a valley. That happens on an engine because the heat and the fire and the exhaust will actually burn a tracer on the top of the block, and you can't fix that. But it's really interesting, and my point is this. When you're listening to the radio, you hear bits and pieces. You don't hear the whole story. Or maybe you tune it out anyway. You're not interested in the whole story unless it's your story. So I just want you to know that whenever you call in or you hear a call, pay attention to what the question is. And here's a good example. A gentleman called that had and Carol from New York, Fabio, drives a Subaru, right? And a lovely lady, and I'd love to hear from her. And she bought a new Subaru with a standard transmission because she loved standard transmissions. Well, she had an issue because she had some passengers in the car, and she was in the mountains, and the car didn't have the power that she wanted. In fact, she was in third gear with it floored, and it was just to maintain whatever speed, 40, 50. Anyway, she was disappointed. So a couple of weeks later, a gentleman called from North Carolina, and he had a Subaru, but he had an automatic. And so we were talking to him, and of course it was 2 weeks since Carol had called, and we were talking about the fact that Carol was using a standard transmission, and so the power was different in her car as compared to his because he had I think the variable transmission. Pretty sure that he did. So it was automatic, and it shifted its own gear. Well, Carol thought that we were saying that she didn't know how to drive. And it wasn't that at all. So she called in, she said, I've been driving a car. Remember that, Fabio? She called in, what, was that 2 weeks ago or something? Oh, was it last week? No, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Anyway, so she called in, she said, hey, I've been driving a car. I know how to drive. And I said, wait a minute, we weren't talking about your driving. We were talking about the car and the power. Oh, okay. So it being what you hear, what you think you heard, and what somebody actually said are two different things. And now, if I could just fast forward, let's go to a service desk, and you walk up to the service desk, and you say, my car's making a whirring noise when I crank it up. It must be the water pump or a belt or whatever, something under the hood. And so, and we have people, we have people that, everyday customers that have specific issues with their cars. But when you go to a service desk, what you should say is, my car is making a noise that it never made before. And then the service desk should say, well, tell me about it, and ask you a question. And here's a question. Does it make the noise when the engine, when you crank it up without the car moving? Well, I don't know. I was just driving down the street and I heard this noise, but I don't know if does it make it when you're in your driveway? So what that means is, and when we ask questions in the service, is we're trying to determine if the car has to be rolling for the noise to occur. If so, then that indicates, pretty strongly indicates, that the noise is coming from the drivetrain. The drivetrain would be transmission, drive shaft, U-joints, wheels, axles, tires, nails in tires, anything that rotates. So those are the kind of questions. And so when you go to a service shop and you have a question or a challenge with your car or a problem with your car, give them as much information, and don't worry if it's not, in nomenclature is incorrect, or you don't know what a widget is. Doesn't matter. Just tell the service folks what your car is doing that you don't like. And if you have a new car and you go in and the service manager at the dealership says, oh, well, they all do that, say, well, good, let's go out here and drive another new car that's just like mine, maybe a different color, and let me see if it does it. Because new cars and used cars don't come from the factory with noise automatically, unless it's radio noise, and in which case perhaps it would be Bobby Likis radio. Hey, I'll take your calls when I come back and give you an opportunity to share some fun, some car fun, at 888-227-2546, 227-2546. Heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. Short-distance driving means your battery is not fully recharging. AGM batteries are more efficient than traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. They consume less power from the alternator. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more AGM advantages at autobatteries.com.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
October is Fall Car Care Month. There's no better time to perform a thorough check of vehicle maintenance items before harsh weather hits. Check your battery and its charging system, as colder weather can strain both. Keep battery terminals free of dirt, grime, and oxidation to ensure a clean connection and a stronger charge. Clean and flush your cooling system, as new coolant will help rid your radiator of rust, dirt, and sludge, and will help prevent your engine from overheating. Daylight savings means it's a good time to check all exterior and interior lights and make sure the headlights are properly aimed and the lenses are clear. Winter is an especially important time to check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I have to say that Bobby Likis Car Clinic is, and anyone out there in the broadcast arena or the broadcast world, those of you in New York, which is that's why we say we're 10 till noon Eastern time, because in broadcast it's all Eastern time. And for you folks listening in Washington State and California, I realize that you're 3 hours behind or behind the Eastern side, but it doesn't matter, because in New York the broadcast world says this is it, there's no other thing. So 10 till noon Eastern time every Saturday, we come to you with information and some car fun. I invite you to participate at 888-227-2546. We'll take a call from Kansas. Ed, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hey, thank you for taking the call, and I listened to you quite a bit. I never needed you before, but I do understand my car better.
Well, okay. Terrific, because that's exactly my goal. What can I do for you, Ed?
Okay, I'm kind of a rebuilder. I took a 2011 DTS, and it was hitting the front, and I took the motor out, and the body shop said they could work on the core support better with the motor out. I took the motor out because the side plate on the transmission was cracked.
Wow.
So now I got it back from the body shop. I put the motor in, and it will not turn over. The dash will light up, and I think I lost the key code, but I got people telling me I could not have done that.
Oh, yes, you can.
And, one more thing.
Okay.
I've got two scanners. One's Snap-on. The other one's off the shelf at O'Reilly's.
Okay.
And both of them will not. They tell you when I put them on there to do something, turn the key on. The key's already on, the dash lit up. It will not. I don't know if that tells you anything, but it will not read.
Well, it tells me that there's that's what's called no communication or lack of communication between the ECM and the scan tool. And when you have a lack of communication, see, in my heart of hearts, I believe there's a wire that's damaged from the damage of the vehicle, or you didn't get the unit back in correctly, or by just simple disconnecting the battery, maybe even, and Ed, maybe even not to point blame on anyone, because that's not what this is intended for.
I know. I understand.
But welding on a chassis can also cause module damage. So here's the challenge. Gosh, I'm trying to think, because see, we had, and we're working with the nicest owner in the world. This guy, I love this guy. I'm telling you, his name's Lewis, and he's the most understanding car owner I think I've ever had in my, not the most, but of all the understanding car owners that I've had, and I've had many. This man is over the top. His car was towed. It's a Cadillac XLR, and it was towed in, didn't run. We ultimately replaced the body control module, and afterward, and we reprogrammed it. We connected to General Motors and bought the information and went through it more than once. And the cruise control refuses to work on this car. And Ed, the owner says, and I think this is Lewis's wife, the owners said that the cruise control worked before it came to the shop. Well, that's true, and I believe that. I absolutely believe that. But whatever took out the body control module may have taken out the cruise module, because we've used two different tools. One of our tools can see where the connection goes, and the body control module can see the cruise module, but our other scan tool says those two are not talking to one another. So we think it's a bad body control a bad cruise control module. So I said all that to say that when you're dealing with what you're dealing with now, which is possibly a security issue, you have to have the software to get into the architecture of the you have to have the software to get into the architecture of the electronic programming. So a standard scan tool won't do that. And to that end, we use a laptop, and then because we subscribe to General Motors, we downloaded a Tech 2 software from AC Delco that we paid for. So rather than buy a Tech 2 scanner that's like, I don't know, $6,000, we're using a $500 laptop with a $3,000 a year subscription, and then we download programs into the laptop that allow us to do these jobs. And if you multiply that, now that's for General Motors, if you multiply that times the number of different makes of cars out there, it's almost cost prohibitive. So for your information and for your situation, you've got to be able to have the software to communicate better. And let me finalize this, and because I need your input here, but I want you to understand, and everyone listening, any scan tool can read the code, just as if you and I were across the street from a burning building, we could say, hey, that building's on fire. But only when you get into the building can you determine where the fire is located and from where it started. Same thing is true for today's sophisticated cars. Without the proper, expensive, professional tools, you know that there's a code because you can read it, but you can't get in and operate the systems to determine why the code was set. So for you, I think maybe you need to pay a professional at least to have them hook up their professional tool with the General Motors Tech 2 software to get into your car. And there's one last thing here, because where you were going to start with, you may be right on. It may be a security issue. If it is, a locksmith can do the very same thing, and even a shop can't do what a locksmith can do, because a locksmith has a security clearance that a shop doesn't. You got it?
Yeah. Okay. Now, there was no welding on the car while the modules were in there. They were laying still hooked up.
Got it.
So.
Got it. And I didn't figure that there would be. And besides, the repair shops, collision repair shops, we talk about CarStar quite often because that's the nation's largest, I would say, family of collision centers, 600 shops. Those guys and those independent shop owners know what not to do because they're really well aware. In fact, I'm not sure I'd want to be in that business myself because how many times have you said, well, this car was okay, and I hit a curb or I hit a car and on the front end, and now my radio doesn't work. And so, it's a lot of owners probably from an uneducated standpoint said, well, the car was okay before the wreck, but really, did you really check that particular component before the operation? So anyway,
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. Having said all that, now that you understand more about the architecture of the vehicle, I think that's what I would do if I were you, is to get another scan tool to see if the security and the lockout module were communicating with each other. And that might be with a dealer, it could be with an independent service shop, and even, as I said, the locksmith as well, because it appears that when you go to the crank mode, your vehicle is not seeing the crank. But we don't know that because you haven't seen that electronically on your scan tool because you can't get in there.
Okay.
You got it?
Okay, well, thank you for the information. I do enjoy listening to you.
Where do you live in Kansas?
Between Purdy Prairie and Kingman. And I'm on a tractor now playing wheat and listening
Are
to
you? Well, how cool is that? Hey, Ed, thank you. Be safe and enjoy your tractor. Enjoy your day.
Okay, thank you, sir. Bye.
So, folks, years ago, if you have a story or a question, Kevin will take your call at 888-227-2546. How about that? I slowed down on that. 888-227-2546. So one day I'm talking to a gentleman, and he's calling from Minnesota, I think. And you can hear in the background some rumbling, and occasionally, and then it would stop, and then it would go, and he was talking, and finally, after we had our conversation, talk about cars, obviously, I said, well, where do you live? And he said, well, I live in, so-and-so, I said, well, great. Well, that's terrific. He says, and right now I'm in my combine. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I'm plowing about, 450 acres here, a property that I own, and I grow corn. And I thought it was really, really interesting. And I said, well, do your arms get tired and what have you? Well, that opened up a whole new world because, folks, farmers don't drive those machines. They may drive them out to the field, and then they use the GPS, and they set the GPS, and the GPS guides that tractor. And think about this. There are, let's say, a seed planter. So you've got these individual little buckets of seed that are, let's just say like a jar of peanuts, or maybe a coffee can. Okay, so you got 30 of them on the right side and 30 of them on the left side, and they're all fanned out like an eagle's wings, except they're mechanical seed planters. And they have little motors that turn. And as the combine, as the tractor moves, these seeds have a little clock, and each tick of the clock drops the seed. And as the tractor is moving, it drop. So it plants the seed specifically at the width of the location and at the distance of the location. So I said, well, let me ask you a question. If you're going in a straight line, that's pretty cool. But what if at the end of that plot of land, the line wasn't straight? You had where like states come together. You got a triangulated end versus a line to a line flat end. That makes sense? You understand what I'm saying, Fabio? And so, yep. So Herb, who was the owner of the farm, he said, Bob, it doesn't matter. He said, as the GPS gets to the end of its plot of land that is diagonal to another plot of land, it shuts off each individual seed planter specifically with the geographical location. And I said, well, how close is that? He said, well, the free GPS that we use is within 4 inches. But we can pay for a more specific GPS and get it to within 4 thousandths of an inch, or, perfect. Unbelievable that what farmers can do these days with GPS signals and tractors, and all the while listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll be back after the break and take your calls. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Well, I hope you're having a great time today, and I hope that you're feeling well and that this week was good for you and your automobile, whether it's a combine, as we were talking about before the break. I did drive a combine when I was in Minnesota, sort of. I did drive it down the road, up this dirt road, and turned around, and I really made a sort of a U-turn, but it was a left turn and back up, and it actually dug a trench in the dirt road because it has such traction and big tires, and I'm sure it has some kind of a locking differential in it because it literally, that left wheel had to turn even though it was on the short side of the radius when I turned left, and I noticed that, and so I asked the gentleman Herb, who owned the farm, you know, how do you keep from tearing up? He said, well, it's like a big ship, which reminded me because I did a catapult landing off of the George Washington ship one time. I was invited at Naval Air Station here in Pensacola, Florida. That was really exciting. I was in I think a C-3. And for all of you military guys out there, don't shoot the messenger here. It was a 12-seat airplane, and we were sitting in it backwards, and it had no interior. It was very Spartan, military, and the back gate opened up. So if you know which one I'm talking about, I think it was a C-3. The catapult, I was really excited about that, but in 2.5 seconds, it was gone. I mean, the catapult is exactly what its name implies. Landing, however, was a whole different story because we went past the ship and then made a 180 and came back to the ship. Actually, made a 180 and came back to the ship. I'm sure that was because of the way the wind was, the ship was going and the wind. I'm not a pilot, so, but it was really an arrested landing. When those wheels hit that deck, when that hook catches on that cable, it is really, really exciting. It's unbelievable. We're going to take a call from Marie, who is considering an Acura TL 2004 with 200,000 miles. And she wants to know, well, Marie, is your question that's got a couple of 100,000 and it's $3,000 and you want to know if it's worth that price? And welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bobby. You're kind of like a lifesaver. I had to ask some advice. Excuse me.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't know much about cars. I desperately need a car now.
Yeah.
My car is dead. And the man is selling it for his customer. I know him a bit. He owns the shop, and he says it's been meticulously maintained. He said he just put $6,000 into it. I don't know what to do. He says it's about a 2004 200,000. I mean I can't imagine, but I don't have too much to put. It's only 3,000. Even if I had to get a transmission or something, I guess. I don't know. Would it be worth it? I don't have any idea.
I hear what you're saying. I feel your pain and your apprehension, and I agree. Now, let me say this. Any used car that anyone buys which means that's a very general statement, but it's all encompassing. So any one of you who are tuned in out there and you're thinking of buying a used car, even if the car's not 200,000 mile as Marie is, and it's an 04, if it was a 14 with 25,000 miles, you should always have a third party who is professional take a look at the car. And Marie, just for you to know, and for folks out there across the nation, we perform, and shops perform what's called a PPI, pre-purchase vehicle inspection. Every shop worth its salt has this service, and it is the most thorough. And I'm only speaking for my shop here, but it is the most thorough inspection that you can get, and we use the PPI form that I generated and we've updated along with technology of cars, because things that you used to check on cars, you don't check, carburetor linkage and all that. We don't check that because there are no carburetors now. So there are specific 80 points that we check through. So what I suggest for you, Marie, before you spend any money on this car, is have another shop perform a pre-purchase inspection. Now, here's the rub. You cannot expect this car, and I hear what you're saying already, because you sort of went there, well, if I bought it for $3,000, I could afford to spend some money on it. No, you cannot. And here's why. You said that they had just spent about $6,000 on the car, and the car, if it had responded to the $6,000, would be drivable and be worthy. Unless, of course, the shop spent the $6,000 and then the owner says, I decided I want to bail out. You can have the car. In which case, the shop can't force the person to pay him what he doesn't have. So I don't know the full story. I'm sure there's a backstory. I don't want to go there. But I'll just say that with any used car, you should always have a pre-purchase vehicle inspection so that you can at least have the educated advice from someone that's in the business that can look at a rock and tell you if you can polish it or not, because sometimes you can't polish a rock and sometimes you can. So it may be that Acura TL at 200,000 miles for $3,000 is a great buy, and it may need, so you spend another $1,000 on it. That's okay, but if you had to go 2 months later and spend another $3,000, now you're $6,000 in it. And then 2 months later, you had to spend another $1,000. You're $7,000 in it. So here's the bottom line, and here's what I've always felt and believed in my philosophy with regard to used cars. Let's take one car and say it has a base price, whether it's Auto Trader or Carfax or CarParts.com or Cars, whatever. All those online Edmunds. All of those companies that put a price on used cars, okay. So let's just say that the car has a root value of $10,000. And the car being whatever it is. Now, let's say that you find one that has a lot of miles and is not in great condition, and you can buy it for $7,000. And then let's say you found another one that is just the opposite. It is in excellent condition, but it's about $12,500. You say, wait a minute. $7,000 versus $12,500, because you found two cars that are the same make, model, and year, but they're not the same condition. One of them is pretty well used up, and because it's $7,000, whereas it should be about $10,000, but it's pretty well used up. So the guy's going to give you, or I say the guy, individual or lot, whomever, is going to give you a good deal, because really he's giving you the car wholesale, because the understanding is the car is only worth about $7,000 because it has issues. Here's the answer, and here's the rest of the story. You can buy a car for $7,000 all day long, or you can buy one for $12,500 that is in excellent condition. But you cannot take the $7,000 car and spend $5,500 on it and have a $12,500 car. In fact, you can take a $7,000 car and spend $10,000 on it and still not have the car that was worth $12,500, because there are issues with used cars that are caused by neglect and road damage and age that cannot be repaired efficiently. And when you're working on a used car, there's always a next step and a next step and a next step. And every time you touch A, you have a problem with B, because A and B and C, the hip bone's connected to that's the way it is with used cars. And to that end, we have currently in our shop a 2001 Jaguar Vandenpla that belongs to a longtime friend of mine, and we've had that car a couple of months. And we started out doing an inspection, and it didn't run right, and it hasn't run right in a long time. And this gentleman doesn't drive, but his wife drives him, and the car is quite beautiful, and it's a low mileage car, but it hasn't been driven much in a long time. And even then, little short distances here and there. Well, it came in running on 4 of the 8 cylinders. And it had coils that were leaking, valve covers that were leaking, and oil and spark plugs and what have you. It had a power steering pump leaking, a radiator leaking. One thing, so as we went through that car to upgrade that car, it now has a new radiator, a new power steering pump, new brakes on the front because they were warped. The rotors were warped. It has new timing chains and timing chain tensioners, and there were pieces of the rails, timing chain rails in the oil pan. In fact, when we finally cranked the engine up, after we tried our best to tune it and get it running without taking the motor apart, we heard this, and it was pieces of plastic going around in the timing chain, because that's the typical of that car. However, having said that, yesterday afternoon we just finished that car at 4:30 after 2 months, and I will tell you, I'm in love with it, and I can't wait to deliver it back to my friend. And we spent quite a sum of money on it. We had 31 hours of labor in this automobile. But I will tell you, he loves the car, he wants to keep the car, and I too really think that the end product is going to be even better than it was when he bought the car some 15 years ago. So those are the circumstances, and those are 2 totally different circumstances. In the case of this car that we just worked on, it's one of those that if it was the 12.5 car, worth more than that, but if it was the 12.5 car, and you could have bought that car for 10, it would have been a great buy at 10, even if you spent another 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 on it, because that car is unique. It has special wire wheels and special tires and just the whole gamut. So, it can be, Marie and folks, it can be, it being choices for used cars can be confusing and daunting at times. And that's why you need someone like me and someone in the industry across the nation, some local service shop, whether it's an independent or a chain store or a dealership. Those of us in the business have seen it all, and yet we see something and learn something new every day. So we haven't seen it all, but virtually, when you're trying to make a conscious decision to buy an affordable car, you need the help of someone who has been there and done that and has a proper training before you can make an intelligent decision or an educated decision. And then you still, there's always the gamble when you buy. And I know that Maria's gone, but my concern for Maria is what you buy is yours. Once you write the check and you drive it off the property, even if they have to jump start it to get you off the property, it's yours. Because when you buy from an individual, you have no recourse at all. When you buy as is, no warranty, you have no recourse at all. And so you have to think about that. So don't let the $3,000 figure in the sky influence you into buying a car that has the 200,000 miles, but has been abandoned, if that's the case, by its previous owner at a local service shop. Sometimes you can find a good car that way, but only if you have a connection to and a relationship with the service shop, so that you know there's Bobby and Marie. There's you see where I'm going here, folks, so that you know and can trust the person that you're talking with. But you better listen carefully, because if that person says, well, you buy this car, but we don't know about the transmission, we don't know if it uses oil or not, because you can't tell those things. You can drive it, but you can't tell tomorrow what's going to happen. So you're buying, and it's always a chance. Anyway, thanks for your call, and folks, always remember that when you buy a used car, get a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. Oh dear, oh dear. This is you're going to love this. Unbelievable. So Dean Fisher is the CEO. Actually, he's the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for CarStar. And CarStar was, founded on the belief that a network of high-quality collision repair facilities would be a benefit for consumers and a welcome for the insurance company. And this is a how to avoid, or at least a how to help avoid, deer accidents. Deer-related accidents are a tremendous risk, as you know, particularly in southern, midwestern, and rural areas. And Dean Fisher, the COO at CarStar, says deer-related accidents can be costly. Nearly 70% of CarStar franchise partners estimate that the average cost of a deer-related collision repair is between $2,500 and $5,000. And some cost as much as $5,000 to $10,000. And most deer-related accidents involve front-end damage, which can easily elevate the cost of repair due to replacement of windshields, bumpers, headlights, and the like. So you have to drive defensively to avoid deer dangers. And so here's what, from our partners at CarStar, they recommend. Number one, just be extra caution at dawn and dusk. And remember that deer travel in packs. And here's one that I didn't really think about. Don't swerve to avoid striking a deer, because that further increases the accident risk. Use high beams at night, where you can better illuminate the deer. And if a deer remains on the highway after you strike it, report the accident. Those are some of the tips to help you drive more safely at dawn and dusk, and thanks to our partners at CarStar. Folks, that's all the time we have for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Entertainment, GPS, heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. AGM Battery Advantage is robust design. With high compression cell design and glass mat separators, AGM batteries are built to excel in the most demanding conditions. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more about AGM advantages at autobatteries.com. At CarStar, we repair hundreds of different makes and models, but the name on the car isn't nearly as important as the name of the person who owns it. Because of CarStar, we don't just repair cars, we repair your car. There's only one like it in the world, and our expert technicians treat it that way. If you're ever in need of collision or storm damage repair, look for or ask your insurance company about the nearest CarStar, the auto body repair center with a nationwide guarantee. Check it out, carstar.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to another hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic is also an easy number for you to remember and easy to call. 888 Car Clinic or 888-227-2546. Kevin's in the house today, and Hannah is off this week for a little R&R. So, Kevin, always great to have you back in the house. So, folks, when you call him, harass him. I mean, say hello to him. And Fabio doing a fantastic job with our show. He's a producer. And also Jonathan Sloan, jack of all trades and official show logger. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Motor Red, your choice. Actually, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. You can learn more about their products and the industry-leading application coverage, which means they've got all the parts you need for your thermostats, your caps, and those sorts of cooling system products at MotorRadUSA.com. Also, Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Diablo Sport. Now, that's my heartthrob because I super-tuned an EcoBoost with the Diablo Sport in-tune and the i3 Performance Programmer over the top. You can boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. Really? You learn more at DiabloSport.com. Your car questions and more car fun when I come back after the break. 888-227-2546. We recently worked on an 03 Buick Park Avenue with a 3.8 engine, and the vehicle had been a workhorse, 190,000 miles and more. That said, fuel economy had slipped from 24 mpg to 19. On cold startup, the check engine light flashed, in addition to rough idling. Engine fuel trim pointed toward carbon issues. A quick scan revealed random misfire code P0300. The codes were cleared, and after a visual inspection of the ignition system and fuel filter change, we added a can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool to a fresh tank of fuel. After a 400-mile round trip and a second can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, fuel economy was back to 24 miles per gallon and idle quality was restored. Many times, complex running issues are traced to carbon issues on today's vehicles. Fuel system maintenance starts with simple tank additives as the first step in carbon cleaning your engine. The next time your vehicle is sluggish or experiencing fuel economy that's not up to par, try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Learn more at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal really can be a lifesaver. A leaking freeze plug is definitely cause for concern. The plugs seal the cooling system and are a common cause of leaks on aging engines. And while the plugs themselves are not terribly expensive, replacement can be a tedious job. It's because most freeze plugs are difficult to gain access to, not to mention the fact that you have to drain and refill the entire cooling system. All of this ultimately makes for an expensive repair. So what can you do if your vehicle is only worth a few $1,000s? That's where K-Seal comes in. Pour K-Seal into the cooling system, and it will work to seal the system as you drive. Never clogs up. It also stays in the system and can help prevent future leaks as well. We've used K-Seal on many cars in our shop and have had great results. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers nationwide and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this hour started. I invite you to participate. One of the best websites for car information, like recalls and what have you, is safercar.gov. At safercar.gov, you can go there and put your VIN number, vehicle identification number. That's a 17-digit alphanumeric number, group of letters and numbers, that tells when the car was made, where it was made, what size engine, what series of engine. And you say, well, what does that mean, what series? Well, let's say that you and a neighbor bought similar cars, or the same car, on the same day. And just happens that your serial number was 5801, and his was 5802. So we know that those two cars were, on the assembly line, bumper to bumper. But that doesn't mean that the engine that was in, and they're same engine, but that doesn't mean that the engine that's in your car is the same as his or hers. Because during the assembly, there are batches of engines, batches of tires, and batches of door motors and those sorts of things that are all the same, a four-cylinder, turbocharged or none, but it wasn't made in a certain batch. And I'll simplify that, like you buy a quart of milk used before, the date. There's a born-on date. So when you go to a service shop or you call for an estimate, for instance, on a service, and they ask you for the VIN number, you got to have that. Because without the VIN number, you can rarely get the right part. And I say that because even with the VIN number, I should do a trivia here, but I won't. But just what would you think would be the wrong part, that the part that was ordered for your car arrives and it was the wrong part when it got to the shop? And so if you wonder sometimes why your car is held a day extra or 2 days extra, the part came in and the part was wrong, sometimes you don't know that. Sometimes the shop just doesn't share that information with you. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, you can't make the part fit if the part doesn't fit, and yet it was ordered for that car. So what percentage would you think on a national scale? And this information comes from the Automotive Service Association, of which I'm a member, like the American Medical Association, ASA, just under 15%. So just think about that, 15%. So let's just say that 10 of your family went and ordered at a restaurant, 5 of them, and 2 of them, the 2 of the plates were delivered, they were the wrong. They didn't order ham and bacon, or ham and eggs. They ordered bacon and eggs or sausage and pancakes, and it'd be wrong. He said, well, that's a little different situation. Well, it's not really, because that happens. It happens in the restaurant business, and it happens daily in the automotive repair business. So just make sure that, the shop that's working on your car has all the information. They have your car, but make sure that when you call, if you call and you're asking for information, and some shops will give you an idea of what something costs. Most will not, because you'll hold their feet to the fire. So if somebody calls, I think my car's not shifting right. What does a transmission cost? Well, how do you know you need a transmission? Well, it's not shifting right. Well, that doesn't mean the transmission's bad. So always communicate and always discuss with the service shop what your car is doing you don't like. And by all means, understand that when you go into a service shop, it's always best if it's other than a flat tire, which is easy to fix. I mean, it's either the tire or the wheel or the valve stem that causes it to go flat. So, I mean, that's not rocket science. But when you've got a car that has erratic behavior or electronic widget that's not widgeting, there's more to it than meets the eye. So the best way for you to enjoy car repair, let's see, car repair, root canal, car repair, no. You can make it easier on yourself by establishing a rapport and a relationship with a service shop you trust. Let's go to South Carolina and take a call from Ted. Ted, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning. Love your show.
Thank you. Appreciate that. What can I do for you?
My neighbor has a 1990 F-250 4.9 straight six engine in it.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it can be safely flushed without having to look about how much sludge there is under the valve cover.
Well, that's, Ted, that's a good, one of our partners, Berryman Products. In fact, before I get started, just remember berrymanproducts.com, and so that you can go online after we talk and tour their site and get more information specific to your question. Berryman Products makes an engine flush that I've used, and we do quite a bit of engine flushes. When I say quite a bit, most shops don't do any. In fact, there's a Pep Boys down the street from us that sends us a lot of business because they don't get into that arena. And I understand that, because if an engine, and here, Ted, here's what the precursor to any engine flush. Why does it need to be flushed? Two reasons. Number one, the oil was not changed regularly and rarely on time when changed. Number two, it could have been run hot for over a period of time, or hotter than normal, which would cause sludge buildup. Or three, it had some internal leakage, or it had a lot of short driving and it ran cooler. You say, what? That's right. If you have a thermostat failure in a car that fails to the open side and the engine runs too cool, and too cool means less than 190 degrees really, run 175 degrees is too cool for an engine to run efficiently, and it will wear faster than the engine that's running 200 degrees. So for all those reasons, condensation accumulates in the oil, it oxidizes, and the oxidation enhances and encourages more oxidation. And fuel versus, flames to fuel. What I mean by that is oxidation flames more oxidation, which causes more degradation in the oil and deterioration of the oil additives and those sorts of things. So a lot of shops say, well, gosh, if that engine's that sludgy, if I break it loose, how much comes out the pan drain hole, and how much of that stuff can get out the drain, and how much is left in there? So the answer to your question, Ted, is this. It is always best to remove an easy engine cover, a valve cover or a cam cover. Pick whatever side, or if it's a V8 or a 6, whatever's the easiest side, and take a look-see at just how sludgy that engine is. And then if the engine has some soft, muddy-looking, you put your finger in it, and versus the sludge that has dried out and has become like flaked old paint on the side of a building, you can't get that stuff out. All it will do is it will dislodge, and it will stop up the oil strainer and potentially stop oil flow and destroy the engine that you're trying to save. Any questions?
So visually checking is about the best, safest way to do it.
Only way. Only way. In fact, when we buy a used engine, and we've really gotten into the used engine quite a bit. We've saved a lot of people a lot of money by using used engines. The first thing we do, of course, is pull the dipstick out. Well, that's a no-brainer. But the oil's dirty or not. And some engines that the oil is in the car is upside down, there may not be full of oil, and we change the oil anyway. We always remove the oil filler cap and then look down in the engine, and on some, because there are baffles in a rocker arm cover, you can't see inside the engine. So we will, if we don't want to disturb the engine, and it looks, and we can tell by the look of the outside of the engine if it came out of an old, neglected car or a car that was well cared for. So what we do is we have a borescope, and we actually will peek around inside the engine from the outside and check out the sludge factor. So that's an easier way, a less invasive way, a non-invasive way to determine the interior of an engine. So you can have a shop use a borescope to look inside. You can pull the cap off and look down in and shine a flashlight, unless there's a baffle. If there's a baffle, you can only see the baffle. But there again, if the baffle's sludged up, well, hey, it's a little doubt. Now you got to pull the cam cover off. So, Ted, that's a good question, and the answer there is lean on the service shop and the technician to help you determine whether or not you want to desludge the engine. Hey, thanks for your call. We're going to go to Josh in Texas when I come back from this break, and we're going to take your calls next at 888-227-2546. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovative products to the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman Chem-Dip carburetor parts cleaner that helps remove gum, varnish, fuel residue, and other harmful deposits from carburetor parts and throttle bodies without heat, aeration, or agitation. Berryman Chem-Dip carburetor parts cleaner is safe to use with most plastic and metal carburetor and throttle body parts, including steel and aluminum alloys. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
You sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance. When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thanks for tuning in today to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you, located from the center of the automotive universe, right here, actually studios within an automotive service shop in Pensacola, Florida, that I'm proud to say we've been on the air for 27 years, and in the service business we've operated a service shop for 47 years. So a lot of cars, 300,000 plus cars through our shop over the years. So we've seen a lot of things, and we've repaired and saved a lot of people a lot of money, and made cars safer for the highway. And that's really important, because you never think about that until you get out on the highway and something happens and you say, uh-oh, this is not good. Let's take a trip to Texas and talk to Josh. Josh, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
How you doing today, sir?
Terrific. How about yourself, man?
Oh, I'm better than I deserve. Hey, you got a 09 4Runner. It's got about 133,000 miles on it. It's my wife's vehicle.
Okay.
I only get to drive it on the weekends. I drive it about 60 miles on the weekends to church and back and run errands and stuff.
Right.
I've got an interesting problem. About 8,000 miles ago, I changed out the calipers, rotors, and the brake pads because we had a bit of a brake shudder. And I was like, okay, and sure enough, classic different wear on one of the calipers.
Right.
On the pads and
right.
the rotors, and the caliper, one of the pistons was stuck. So, just bought another set of calipers, changed it, bled the system, both front sides. I done them both symmetrically. So left front and the right front both got a full rebuild on it.
Got it.
And, it went away. I test drove it. It worked really good. And the past couple weeks I've driven, I've noticed the shutter is back. Below 25, you don't even notice it. I mean, it's smooth. But once you get above about 30 miles an hour, the shutter gets progressively worse, of course, as RPM increases.
Right.
And I'm kind of looking for some advice, Paul.
So, Josh, that is the single most challenge and issue I have with my own personal car. I am so in tune with my personal car that when the rotor gets 3/1000s out of round, 5/1000s is usually the threshold before you can feel it. But because you are in tune with this car, and because you understand rotors and calipers and what have you, you did the right thing by replacing and upgrading all of it. What I recommend, and what will fix this car, is to pull the rotors off, take them to a service shop or a machine shop, make sure you choose the right place, have them to do a light cut to true the rotors back up. The rotors are not bad, they're just slightly warped. And to that end, today I'm traveling with my car. So yesterday I serviced it. It was it was about 100 miles before it was due to oil, and I was going to go ahead and drive it because I'm only going to drive about 600 miles this weekend, today and tomorrow. So it was not a big deal, but my Johnny, who is my master ASE certified tech, he said, well, hey, why don't you go ahead and change it now? I can do it for you before the end of the day. And I always want to put the customer's cars first, but I said, okay. So he did that. I said, while you're at it, the brakes are warped again. And Josh, I've had this happen on this car 5 times. And I'm supposed to know the answers here, right? The left front rotor on my car warps after about 3 months of driving, and I'm a paddle shift guy. I don't even use the brakes. When I say don't even use, that's not true verbatim, but you understand what I'm saying. I'm easy on brakes.
My truck is a standard, so I downshift all the time.
Exactly.
And my wife's is an automatic.
Exactly. But so what I can only assume and presume, and by the way, I replace these rotors with the best that money can buy. And they're not a sponsor of ours. The company's called Akabono. Akabono in 1987 introduced ceramic brakes to the automotive world in the States. They're a European or an Asian company. Anyway, but even the Akabono rotor on the left front of my car warps,
and there's nothing you can do or say that can make a rotor warp. I mean, there's no heat mark. The brakes are wearing evenly, yada, yada, yada. So I say to you, the easy way is to pull the rotors and machine the rotors, and what you want them to do is they'll do one fast cut and then go back and do a brush touch-up cut so that the finish of the rotor is as beautiful as it was when it was new. And then they should use a little omnidirectional sanding disc that makes it have that swirl marks on it so you get no noise. And while if you're going to do this yourself, you also need to get a tube of Seal Glide. You can use that stuff for everything. I mean, we use it on electrical contacts, on brake calipers, but it's made for brake calipers. And O'Reilly Auto Parts has it. It's called Seal Glide. And
I think I put some of that.
Yeah, sure you did.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's Seal Glide or if it's Squeak Stop.
Well,
on the contact points.
Well, the contact points, yeah, but the Squeak stuff goes on the back of the pad, and actually we use a material that goes on the pad itself, which is kind of strange that you smear something on the pad, but that's what it's for, is treatment. But bottom line is to make sure your calipers clean the ways, the slides, and then lube where the pad fits in. You got to take that off anyway, the calipers off anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But I will tell you, Josh, that will solve the problem, and you and I have the same feel. I can't stand it. You can actually, the wheel doesn't even have to shake. You can feel the car go, you can feel it judder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm with you. So that'll fix your problem. Now, and will it come back in 10,000 miles? Probably. I mean, because it's a sticky point with you and with me as well. And once you tune in to something like that, it's hard to tune out. It's a good thing you only drive this car once a week.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, the rotors that I bought, they came with, a lifetime warranty.
Doesn't matter.
From O'Reilly.
Doesn't matter.
Should I just swap them out and just put another set on there?
No.
Swap them out?
No, because they're green. All new rotors, they're green. So now that they've aged, then you can machine them, and they'll probably stay true longer after aging than a brand new off the shelf. Got it?
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well, before you were born, probably, and me as well, Cadillac used to make their engine blocks, and they would put the castings outside of General Motors assembly plant in the yard, and the blocks would rust, and they would sun and wane and yada yada yada, and they would rust, and then when they got ready to build the engines, they would take that old rusty engine and machine it, and of course, because the metal changed on the surface, when you machined it, you actually machined a better, and this is the metallurgy of the 40s and 50s. Okay, so that's not necessarily true today. Well, it's not true today, but the metallurgy then wasn't like it is today, and they would literally take their engine blocks, and for the Cadillac engines, and they would machine them out of rusty old new blocks, but rusty old castings, and that's because you have a seasoned. And then cryogenics. I'm going to take Larry's call here, Josh, but the bottom line, cryogenics is where you take a metal and you freeze it to sub-freezing minus. I forget what the criteria is or what the temperature is, but it's way on down there, and you freeze it. And it changes the molecular structure of the part. And then when you machine that part, what you have is a better block of metal afterwards. You understand where I'm going? Check it.
Yes, sir. So just refinish these and don't get the new ones.
Don't get the new ones. Just refinish those and go with them. They're fine. They won't even be worn. And understand why you got the pads off. Take some rough sandpaper and scuff them up, because they are married to the grooves that you're going to be removing from the rotors.
Oh, yeah.
And so the first 100 miles, the brakes are not going to be as touchy-feely as they were, because you have a true rotor and an untrue pad, because as we speak, there are wear grooves around the surface. You understand where I'm going?
Yes, sir. I do.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for calling. Yeah, take care. Where are you from in Texas, Josh?
Down around Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay. Hey, thanks for calling. And check me out any Saturday if I can help you. When you get on the other side, let me know how it works for you. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
You're welcome, sir. Let's take another call.
And folks, there's plenty of time for you to get in. 888-CAR-CLINIC, 888-227-2546. Larry from another Texas call. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
Okay, here's the problem. I have a 1996 F-150 Eddie Bauer edition.
Okay.
4.9 straight six with a 5-speed standard.
Got it.
Every 3 months, I have to go underneath there, get my 5/16 wrench, and bleed the clutch. I'm talking about from the transmission.
I understand.
Got that?
Yeah, it's got that
It
slave.
got that throwout bearing, or what do
right.
you call it, inside,
Yes.
all made up.
Yes, sir. It's inside, yeah.
And then I'll go another 3 months and have to do it again. And what I want to know is this: could that throwout bearing have a split somehow or another? When it gets hot, it opens up and gets air, and then cools off, and then later on I change, go in and bleed the brake clutch again.
Absolutely. And in fact, sooner or later, you're going to have to replace the slave assembly because the air that's entering the system. Now, Larry, I will say this: it is possible that the piston side of the slave, not the slave cylinder, but the master cylinder, the clutch master, is giving a problem. And just for your information, when you buy the slave master, the part that you step on with your foot, you can buy that with the line that goes down to the slave or without it. And nowadays, in fact, there's a company, we buy these parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. The company is called Dorman, and Dorman is one of my favorite aftermarket solvers. When I say solver, manufacturers have some defects in some of their parts over a period of time. So when you buy a new part, the part you buy new is better than the part that came from the factory because it's been updated. It's sort of like updating your computer. You got a brand new computer. What's the first thing you do? You update the software. So we buy a lot of Dorman products through O'Reilly Auto Parts, and when we do that, they come as an assembly. So that's ultimately, you're going to have to replace the slave within the transmission, and you can wait till the clutch needs to be replaced and do it at the same time. Talking tunes. No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim explained that performance programmers aren't just for race cars.
While Superchip's Flash Pack is known for delivering impressive horsepower and torque gains on gas, diesel trucks, SUVs, and Jeep, one of the number one selling features of the product is added and increased fuel economy, whether you're towing, driving around town, or taking things off-road. The Superchips tow tune allows you to eliminate excessive downshifting, run in a higher gear, downshift less, lower your RPMs, and as a result, save fuel. The Escape has changed for performance programming, and we're not just for race cars anymore. We add vehicle performance and efficiency for trucks, SUVs, and Jeeps.
You can learn all about the new Dash Pack Plus and other great performance programmers at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, And of course, that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in. Every Saturday we're here. I don't know for how long. We've been here for 27 years, so as long as I draw a breath, I imagine I'll be right here. I really enjoy and appreciate your respect and your confidence in me. What this program has done for a lot of people is save them a lot of money, and also a goal of mine is to help you to better understand the nature of either the beast or the Miss Manners car that you drive. And cars can, have many behaviors. Just about the time you think that they're really, really great, something happens. And that's all the more reason for you to better understand not what makes it run, not all the cams and the timing chains and the gears and the clutches and all, but just to get a feel of. And I'll tell you, you can do that by using your senses. 888 Car Clinic is the number, by the way. I'll invite you to call 888-227-2546. That's 227-2546, the 888 number. And any question. So you can use your senses. For example, visually, well, you know if the windshield's cracked. You know when it rains if the wiper blades need to be replaced. And by the way, if you replace your wiper blades and they still smear or chatter, you can use Bon-Ami or soft scrub on a sponge, not one of those sponges that has the abrasive on it. A regular kitchen sponge, the soft kind that you wouldn't mind putting on your face. They're like a 4x4 inch square. So what you do is you just take Bon-Ami, you wet your windshield, you take Bon-Ami and put it on the sponge, and you scrub the windshield. Bon-Ami is abrasive, but it's a polisher, it doesn't scratch. And that will take the residue that is embedded in your windshield. And I say embedded because your windshield is porous. And the more miles you have on it, the more pits. In fact, if you're ever parked and look up at a traffic light in the sun, you'll see just how badly scratched and pitted your windshield is as compared to a newer car or when it was new. So you scrub the windshield with that until the water sheets off. And then you also want to get a paper towel and use isopropyl alcohol. Now these are things you have in the house, right? And then you wet the paper towel and you put the isopropyl alcohol and you scrub the wiper blades, the rubber parts, and you'll see the road grime and the black come off of it, and that will clean your windshield. So that's an easy way for you to drive a safer car. And so you use your senses, you can see. And then your ears. So if you get in a car and you crank it up and there's a tick, 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 and you say, what's that noise? Turn the radio off, turn the air conditioner off. Right. Think about it. Turn everything off that you can and determine if the noise goes away. Well, if you turn the radio off, and obviously it must have been in the radio or something on the radio, that doesn't usually happen. But if you turn the air conditioner off and you got this terrible noise and whatever noise, and the noise goes away, you'll know that it has to do with the air conditioning system, so you can discuss that when you take your car in. Hey, my car's making a noise, but when I turn the AC off, the noise goes away. Voila, you save money because you've helped to diagnose the problem, even though you're not a diagnostician, you're not a technician. So that's what you can do to use your ears. Your smell, that's really important. And just think about it. We all put gas in our cars. There's nothing more pungent than the the fumes of raw fuel. So if you get in your garage and you're going out to work or to church on Sunday or to the store or whatever, and you walk out to your garage and you smell raw gas, don't start that car up. Look under that car. The flammable raw gas is dangerous. And then you can also smell, there's nothing like the smell of a coolant. If you walk out in the garage and there's this sweet smell that also has some burned, smell. It's in and of itself for sure. Coolant has a unique smell if it's leaking from your engine onto the engine block and then evaporating. Even if it evaporates before it hits the floor, you can smell that slight leak, that odor. Now, if your heater core, which is inside the passenger cabin, is leaking and you turn on the blower and your defroster and it fogs up the inside of your windshield, hey, that's moisture. In fact, if you look at a used car, drive by a used car lot and maybe you're car hunting on one Sunday, a lot of people do that, and you see these 25 or 30 cars or 50 or whatever, and you see one of them, it's been raining or not, and the sun's out, and you see one has foggy windows, that car has water in it. That car's got a water leak. So you don't want to buy that car unless you really like that car. Then you want to make sure that whatever is leaking on it gets repaired. It could be a minor leak, but nonetheless, a car will not have foggy windows on the inside unless there's water turning into vapor that's trying to evaporate and get out. So those are just ways that you can use your eyes and your ears and your nose and then you got the feel. And that feel is like a gentleman just called from Texas. He's driving down and with this 4Runner, and he stepped on the brakes and you got a shudder, and he just put new rotors and pads on 8,000 miles ago. But nonetheless, that one of the rotors or both are just slightly out of round, and when they're out of round, the brake and the steering tries to follow the rotor, and that feeds back to the steering wheel, and you'll feel that shudder in the steering wheel. You can't feel it so much in the back of a car unless it's really bad. Anyway, so those are things and that you can use, and little tips from yours truly that will help you to enjoy your car and to better communicate with the service shop as to what's wrong with it. As I said earlier in today's Bobby Likis Car Connect program, I'm taking a trip this weekend and changed the oil and filter in my car, put new brake pads on it yesterday, and did machine the rotors yesterday. And at the same time, the filter that I bought for it, I had a special filter for my car in the parts room, but we had another car coming this week, and we used my filter because we didn't have a filter for that car. So we bought another filter from O'Reilly Auto Parts, and it was a Wix filter. I said, and so my assistant service manager, Rusty, says, well, you want to wait and I'll just order one? No, I said, I need to do it today. I want to change the oil filter today. And so we got the Wix filter and put it on there. And I looked at it out of the box to compare it. And one of the things I noticed was and counted that number of flues, and that's the size of the filter, whether it's 2 inches around, and this was a cartridge filter. So I'm holding the cartridge in my hand, and it has, the special plastic ends, and it's epoxied together, and it has O-rings. Those O-rings are important because the oil pressure of this cartridge on my car, which is a Jaguar, are like an Audi and some Mercedes and some Toyota. They have O-rings within the oil filter housing that are part of the oil filter cartridge that must be tenderly placed in position and pre-lubed. So for all you technicians out there, and for all of you who are in the fast lube business, take time to really wipe out the oil filter canister. Look at that surface, make sure it's shiny. And one last point, and I can assure you that this happens all the time. And if you have a cartridge filter and a canister filter, you'll want to look at this the next time you have your filter changed. How does the technician remove the old oil ring from the canister housing. Now think about it. You've got a groove there, and you've got an oil O-ring that's a seal. How do you get that O-ring out? And most technicians, and this is a sticky point with me as well, most technicians will use a little ice pick, a little probe, and they'll go under the rubber O-ring and pull it out, and then they can grab it with their finger. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Never do that. Because when you take the probe and you go under the O-ring, you scratch the surface under the O-ring, and oil will travel through that groove and leak out that canister. I was displaying this and explaining this to a recent new employee that we hired. And this was a car that came in, never been in our shop before. It was a Mercedes, plastic housing with a rubber O-ring for the canister seal. And I said, so here's how I want you to do this. Well, how do you get the O-ring out? I said, take your belt, take your left and right hand and pinch your belt together around your waist. Do the same thing with a rubber O-ring, and as you stretch the rubber O-ring, you can reach and go under the rubber that pops up because you're pushing it together like you're pushing your belt together. And so as I was showing him, lo and behold, as we cleaned the groove out, someone had already used an ice pick to get the rubber O-ring off this car prior to coming in the shop. It just happened that I was using that one as an example that morning. So it was very, very important lesson for this new employee, and a very important lesson for those of you out there who are not changing your own oil. But if you do, don't use tools to get out O-rings. Use your fingers. Let's go to Washington and take a call from Bill. Bill, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Hey, I've got a 2003 Ford Taurus, and when I turn the key, nothing happens. I have a new battery, new starter. I put a bump starter on it, and it'll turn over like crazy.
You put a little a booster, and it always cranks, but without the booster, I'm sorry. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
but without
cranks fine.
but on its own, it doesn't work.
No, the key, nothing happens when you turn the key.
Yeah, right.
I hear it kind of clunk outside, not a ticking, just a clunk like it's turning something on, but it won't turn it over at all.
Okay. But if you hook a jumper to it, then you can go to the key and it does start. Yeah, right?
Well, I'm just hooking a remote starter to it from the battery down to the
No, you can't do that. I mean, that's you're bypass. Well, okay, you're bypassing the car. So let me ask a question. Does it ever start with a key like it should without you having to do that?
No.
Okay, but you can run current to the starter solenoid and it starts. Correct?
That's right.
Okay, I got it now, because I want to make sure you weren't using a battery jumper to boost the voltage or the current. Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
It could be something so simple as a key code in a security system, or it could be the neutral safety switch in that vehicle, because it won't start in park.
How do you check that? I have looked at that. And
yeah.
I've
How do you check
the linkage and moved it.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Well, here's what I would do. I would. You've tried it in park and you tried it in neutral, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Well, and the key is on the steering column, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So put it in park, leave it in park, turn the key to the crank mode, and hold it in the start mode, which of course nothing's going to happen. Now, make a ball, a fist with your fist, and wrap that steering wheel at 12 o'clock, and it'll vibrate that whole steering column because you wrap it. And if it works, you'll know that you had a ignition switch down, on top of the steering column down under there.
Gotcha.
Or something. So it's a loose connection. If you wrap it and it doesn't fix it, or it doesn't make it start, then it's an open circuit that requires pinpoint readout. I'm trying to think if there's a way that you could go to the, and now try that first, because that's easy, and that will help you pinpoint what next steps. If that doesn't help you, you need to go to the neutral safety switch with a test light, and determine that if any of the contacts, and of course you need a wiring diagram to know which one to probe, but it doesn't matter. You just take a test light and probe. There's ignition, there's backup light. Let's see, there's crank voltage, and there's backup light voltage, because that's where the backup lights are. And so you could prick each one of those wires and have someone turn the key and see if your test light lights up when you go to the crank mode, and then you would know that you got voltage going into that switch. And then if you knew which wire, you could see which one wire feeds the coil, the starter. You see where I'm going? You understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any questions?
I will give that a try. Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Take care. So, AGM, absorbent glass mat batteries. I talk about batteries all the time because my car had a bad battery, and I put a Johnson Control. In fact, Johnson Control offers absorbent glass mat, which is the AGM battery products for a variety of applications, and they've been manufacturing AGM batteries since 2001, and they've produced 28 million batteries since 2007. Their AGM battery provides superior performance. They use a glass mat separator that delivers up to 2 times the life of a standard flooded lead-acid battery. For more information about AGM batteries, folks, and all of the great batteries from Johnson Controls, go to autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com. Until next week, take care of your car. Have a great weekend. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who have served our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as our way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain